this section talks a little bit about the maintenance of a knife. No matter how good the knife you buy is, it's always going to go blunt. There's no such thing as forever sharp. Even a knife like, say, the Evercut, which has tungsten carbides or titanium carbides melted into the edge, and we can guarantee a knife like that for 15 years of sharpening without sharpening, it's still going to go blunt. Basically, you're using an edge which is by definition very, very thin. You're cutting with it, it's wearing out. So no matter what knife you buy, in order to get the value out of the knife, you must be able to sharpen it at home and maintain it at home. If you buy a knife, and if after 3 years, 4 years or 5 years you aren't able to maintain it, then you might as well have bought a £10 knife correctly and thrown it away every 6 months. The reason you're paying this kind of money for a good knife is so that you can have the pleasure of using a sharp tool for the next 15, 20, 25 years. So maintenance is essential. No matter what knife you buy, the edge is always going to go dull. Now what's actually happening to the knife edge itself is that as you hit it, because as an edge hits the surface that you're cutting on, or it rolls along the surface that you're cutting on, basically what's happening is steel's flexible. So the softer the steel is, the more flexibility it has. The harder the steel is, the less flexibility it has. In knife terms or in metal terms, this is known as the memory of the steel. Basically what happens is that as the steel bends at the edge, as you hit the surface, and it flexes back, the softer it is, the molecules have more memory, and so they remember where they were and they go back to it. The harder the steel is, the less flexibility it has. So when something rolls over, it has a tendency on very, very hard, fine knives for that edge just to remain there. In the first instance, all you need to do in order to sharpen the blade is literally just straighten that up. It's like a barber would have done that with a cutthroat razor or a leather strop. You saw him doing that. Now, he probably didn't know what he was doing metallurgically wise, but he knew that it worked. Basically what he was doing was he was taking the roll of the edge of the blade, putting it onto a flat surface, and basically just dragging it straight. About 10 years ago. Sharpening knives is like any other manual dexterity skill. The more you do it, the more you learn and the more you discover new things. 10 years and I'm still learning new things. 20 years I've been sharpening knives, or 25 years almost now I've been sharpening knives since my first apprenticeship in Japan, and every day I learn something new about the knife. My old master used to say that the day you stop learning, you might as well go off and die. So you'll never learn everything. So in this section here, I've just put together some of the updates that I've learned over the last few years, which may help you in your quest to get the sharp knife. First of all, when you're sharpening knives, we have to remember the profile of the edge itself. Most knives have an area which is relatively flat and then curves. Okay? If we sharpen the knife at the same angle here, all the way through, because the curve means that the only time that this part of the blade and this part of the blade can touch a flat surface is when it's down on its side like that. The minute I lift it up like that, the curved part has come off the surface. So if I were to sharpen my knife like this and continue sharpening like that, what will happen is that this part of the blade will grind down faster before until, in fact, keep going grinding till this bit touches the surface, and so you'll end up with a flat edge. So you'll lose the curve over a period of time. I see this regularly on knives that are sharpened by chefs who quite often have been sharpening on their steel in a straight line like this, instead of going straight down like that and curving. Now on a stone, what you need to do is you need to start working from the back end of the blade, and I'm not going to go into the details of the sharpening itself because that's on the other part of the video, but this part tells you how to maintain that curve. So when I'm working on this part of the blade, which is naturally touching, I only apply pressure to that part. My blade is facing 11 o'clock and I do that. When I come to the middle section, which at the moment isn't touching, in order for this part here to touch the surface, I'm going to move the blade from 11 o'clock to 10 o'clock, so I'm only working on that part there now. Okay, and so to 9:30 to get to the tip, and right to 9 o'clock to get the tip. Now, if you do that, and on this side, going from 9 o'clock, where it's flat here, through to 10 o'clock, through to 11 o'clock to work the tip. At the end of it, your sharpening, which you'll see on this other section, you just literally take the blade away once or twice to get rid of any burrs, but you're going away from the edge. Okay, so that's the method for keeping it like that. Now, one of the other things that I can tell you about is the maintenance of the angle itself. Most people when they're sharpening knives, tend to concentrate on the stone and looking at what they're doing. And they're moving their hand. Now, your hand, because the wrist is a wonderful joint, it has the capacity to bend sideways, but it also has the capacity to twist in a circle. Now that means that if I concentrate on this, I have a possibility that my hand is going to do this. Were I to lock the wrist here, and so it can't move anywhere, it can only move up and down and side to side, it can't twist because it's locked, or bend because it's locked, and I concentrate on the elbow. Now the elbow is only capable of going backwards and forwards or side to side. If I want to twist this knife using my elbow, I'd have to do that. Okay, so whilst I was sharpening, I had to be doing this. Okay, you're not going to be doing that. Concentrate on the elbow, make sure the elbows go forwards, backwards, the hand is locked, and then you'll find that your angle will have very little chance of changing. The other things that you can look for is to make sure that the pressure is applied only on the part that touches the stone. So here, here, and here. Do not go here and then start putting pressure like this, otherwise the blade will go off its edge. You just want to apply pressure on the bit that's naturally touching the stone.